Yeah, Chaz. And so I won't take, I know you have a lot of content and this is going to be a great session. So we're going to go ahead and get things started on our end of things. I'd like to welcome everybody and people can fill in as we go, but welcome everyone to our training, our LinkedIn selling training brought to us by Varnex. And we're happy to have, Chaz Horn, who is leads master of B2B sales, an expert in this field. And we're excited to have you here today, Chaz. So I'm going to turn it over to you and let's get things started.
Excellent. Thank you, Tim, for the introduction. I appreciate all of you, and I think there's going to be people that are going to be coming in as I start talking. And one thing I'd really want to encourage you is to come on camera. The more I want to see people's faces, and I want to have a two-way conversation. And so, if I can see you, great. If you can't come on camera, no worries. But I'm going to ask you to say, hey, raise your hand if this, okay? And also, if you could communicate in the chat. And Daniel, I saw you here. Are you going to be handling the chat for me? Was that the right?
Yeah, I will monitor the chat for Q&A purposes. Sure thing, Chaz.
By the way, nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
All right, excellent. So question is, people are coming in and you're coming on video so I can see you. How many people use LinkedIn on a monthly basis? Raise your hands. Okay, keep your hands raised if you're using it more than monthly. Okay, and Vince, Christian, Brad, Brent, Michael, John, Terry, I can't see you because you're not on video. If you come on video, that'd be awesome. Amanda too. How about using LinkedIn weekly? Okay, and multiple times each week? Daily? Multiple times each hour? Okay, so we got some people that are active on LinkedIn. And Mike Brogan, you probably know him. I actually met Mike on LinkedIn through a conversation. And through our conversation, Mike told me, he's like, well, Chaz, I don't know if I'd be a good fit for you because I am in retirement. But I said, let's have a conversation. And you never know where those conversations are going to go. 3 objectives is you want someone to engage with you. Okay. You want to drill down to understand something that you can solve, and then you want to get them on the phone or Zoom, right? Like we are today. Let me give you a little background. Okay. I started my sales career. I was a homeless dude living in my car when I got my first B2B sales job. And I was 119 out of 119 salespeople. I was last. Zero, zilch, nada. And it was all cold calls. If I didn't make a sale, I didn't get paid. And I hated stinking cold calls. Who put a yes in the chat? And Daniel, if you can monitor this for me, I appreciate it. Put a yes in the chat if you enjoy cold calls, or no if you don't. And give me some feedback on that, Daniel, as people are chatting.
That's majority don't enjoy so much.
Okay. Yeah. And another question too for you guys is, are you involved in the sales process? Yes. Do you have your sales team involved? Let's say sales team, or a mixture of both. So mixture of both. It's me, I'm the sales and marketing person, or I have my team involved. If you could do that in the chat, that would be helpful too. Okay. Let me see what I got here. Both team involved, sales and manager, sales manager.
Our team, the marketing team.
If take care of that 1 second.
Yeah. If you guys could mute yourself too, I'd really appreciate that.
And that we are trying to basically get together a presentation to get that approved. And it sounds like some of what you're asking for.
Hold on a second. Thank you.
There we go.
All right. So back to the homeless dude living in his car. 119 out of 119 salespeople. I hated cold calls, and I wasn't following the system. I wasn't following the process. So here I am living in my stinking car, and I wasn't producing because I wasn't doing cold calls. I wasn't following the system. I wasn't following the process. And so Ken Upton, my boss, soon to be mentor, had me over for his house one night, which was great because I don't think I had eaten for 2 days at that point. And so after dinner, he brought me in his den. And if you can picture, it was in Northern California. Northern California is cool at night, even in the summer, it's cool. There's a phrase out there. The coldest winter I ever spent was the summer I spent in San Francisco. Okay. So he had a fire in the fireplace. It's his den. He had a leather chair that he sat in, and he was talking to me kind of like teacher to student. And he said these words, said, Chaz, are you sick and tired? I said, sick and tired. I was clueless. I was living in my car. Okay. And he says, are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? I know you ain't making any sales and you don't make any money if you're not selling anything. I said, yes. And he said these 3 words, which changed my life. And it became the foundation of my why, which we'll speak about a little bit later, is you can be. Now, he followed that by being, you can be the #1 salesperson in the company. But those 3 words, you can be. I grew up in a really critical environment. I'm not a victim, so I'm not saying this is woe is me. I'm just telling you with where I was based on how I grew up. No one really said, hey, Chaz, you have potential. So here is one of the few people that did. He said, you can be. I'm like, wow, I can be the #1 salesperson in the company. But you got to follow the system. You got to follow the process. It's proven. We've spent much time doing this. And so if you follow it, I'm 100% confident that you could be the #1 salesperson in the company. So that's where it was drilled into my head, system and process. Okay. I still hated cold calls though, but I did them. I did the cold calls. I followed the system. I followed the process. Within 45 days, I became the #3 salesperson in the company. I moved out of a place with automatic windows, out of my car. Okay. So I went from that job to another job, and my next boss was a guy who was an old Xerox sales guy, the founder of the next company I worked with. And Xerox had their salespeople cold call 30 in-person cold calls a day. So I was doing that. I hate stinking cold calls. And I'm like, I said, Keith, that's his name. I said, is the objective to do 30 cold calls a day, or is the objective to schedule qualified meetings? He said, well, qualified meetings. I said, I can do the 30 cold calls, but I want to make money. And do you want me to waste time doing cold calls or scheduling meetings? I always was looking for a better way and a better strategy to reach the client or customer, as we called them in those days, so that I don't have to do all these stinking cold calls. Okay. Fast forward a few years, I became a sales manager, and we eliminated cold calls for the most part using LinkedIn. Okay. And this is back about 9 years ago. Okay. There is a better way than doing cold calls. All right. So you have to have a strategy. That's the marketing strategy. And you have to have a sales process. You need both of those together in one congruent ideology. I use ideology instead of system because I like the word better. Okay. So the marketing strategy is the road to take you from where you are to your prospective clients. Okay. By the way, in the chat, do you call the people that you work with clients or customers? I just want to make sure I'm using the right language here. And Daniel, give me some feedback on that. I appreciate it. I find most people say clients. And so I just want to make sure I'm speaking your language. Okay.
Most people say clients and customers are for the feedback we've gotten so far, Chaz.
All right. Thank you. So, so the strategy, marketing, the strategy is the road to get you from where you are to get you to your clients, prospective clients, and for them to get to you. And on LinkedIn, I have an inbound and an outbound strategy that's based on psychology and emotional intelligence. And we're going to dive deeper into this. All right. Now, first and foremost, and let me share my screen here. What I want to do is and if you guys could come on, since welcome everybody, if you're new, while I'm chatting here, if you could come on camera, awesome. Good to see you. Brent, Thomas, Sheriff Dan, Gary. So before talking about strategy, before talking about process, again, marketing strategy, sales process, you need both of those. The marketing strategy attracts the people to you, and then the sales process transition those into qualified meetings and onboard as a new client. I use onboard instead of closing because words mean things. I would rather onboard clients than to close the deal because it's about serving people. All right, not about selling them. Little distinction that makes a big difference in what you say. Okay, and when you go with the intention to serve, that's the first step in our marketing strategy, the first step in our sales process. When you go with the intention to serve, it changes what you say, and it changes, most importantly, how you say it. And if anybody has a significant other, you can raise your hand. Has anyone ever told you it's not what you said, but it's how you said it? Right? So what I want to talk about before we get into the strategy is building the foundation. Can everybody see my screen okay? Raise my hand. Okay. Raise your hand, not my hand. You can't raise my hand. The foundation is a sales mission statement. Has anybody ever created not a mission statement, but a sales mission statement or sales and marketing mission statement? This is the foundation where you have your internal dialogue, and from your internal dialogue, you have your external dialogue. That's your marketing strategy. That's your sales process. That's how you communicate with your prospective clients. Okay. So this is the first thing that I have my clients do when they come on board. Build the foundation. They're all ready to go. And I'm like, oh, Chaz, I already have something like this. I'm like, humor me and do it. I've never had anyone that's gone through this exercise that didn't say, oh man, Chaz, I didn't even think about these things. That was a really good exercise. So we're going to work succinctly through this for the foundation. So first and foremost, people don't care about you. They don't care about me. What do they care about? They care about the outcomes that we provide. So you have to list the outcomes that you provide for your prospective clients. In this document, you solve their problem and you provide outcomes. For me, the outcomes I provide is they get qualified meetings daily and they onboard new clients weekly. That's what they care about. Okay. It's not about talking about features. It's not talking about benefits. It's not talking about process. This is talking about the outcomes. And then who do you work with? When I work with someone, they have to be coachable, they have to be decisive, and they have to be committed. If they don't have those three, and I ask them to score themselves in a 1 to 5, 5 being all the way and 1 being 0, if they're not a strong 4 or 5, I don't work with them. It's nothing against them. I just know if they're not committed, decisive, acting outside their comfort zone, acting on what they've learned, they're not going to be successful. And no one wants to work with clients that don't follow through on their end. Anybody have a bad experience with a client who you just knew that was a bad fit? Raise your hand. So I've talked to so many people that waste so much time chasing after people, being ghosted by people that aren't a good fit. And those people that aren't a good fit usually suck up too much of your time and decrease your margins. So you identify who you work with and who you don't work with. Okay. I don't work with people that are flaky. Okay. Who are dependent. I work with people who are independent. And then as you're working through this document, you identify the hell that the people are in. If they're not working with you or one of your competitors, then there's usually 2 to 3 main problems that they have. 2 to 3 main problems. Okay, I've never seen an exception to this with all the hundreds of clients that I've worked with. There's 2 to 3 main problems they have that you solve. Okay, so you list this, and then when you work with them, you take them from the hell, you put them into the heaven because you solve this problem. Whether they have inefficiencies, lack productivity, their margins are small. You help them be efficient, productive. Whatever you do is you deliver the outcomes for them. You give them peace of mind in this area. Okay. Then your onboarding process. When you bring a client on, you have a process they go through and it needs to be seamless. If it's not seamless, you're not going to develop rock solid loyalty. And if you don't have rock solid loyalty, you're not going to expand into clients who are going to be around for a long time for upsells and cross sells. Your onboarding process can always get better. And okay. And then why? Does anybody know Simon Sinek? Why in the chat and for no? He wrote a book, Start With Why. He also has a TED Talk on why. Meeting a need in the marketplace is not strong enough reason. You got to understand why it's important to you. So in this document, for those people you said, I'm the sales, I do the marketing, or there's both. You have your sales team or your salespeople, their why is going to be different than yours. And if your salespeople aren't engaged in understanding their why, there's going to be a high turnover. Okay. And if you don't understand your why, you're going to be stressed out because you're just meeting a need in the marketplace. It has to go deeper than that. Remember, I talked about Ken Upton, You Can Be? That became the foundation for my why. So today, my why is to help other people, you, Sheriff Dan, Brigetta, I hope I pronounced that correctly, is to help you understand your potential, then help you realize it. And with my experience is I give you the strategy and the process and the mindset so you can get from where you are to where you want to go. Nothing makes my day better, with exception of seeing my kids grow and mature and whatnot, than to see my clients get it and take their lives to the next level and their businesses to the next level because they know what to do and attract the clients into their business. Okay. So the why do you do what you do? That's essential. And then obstacles. This, again, is foundational. You got to list your obstacles because if you're doing something new, typically it doesn't get done. So what's the obstacle? It's fear. It's outside my comfort zone. I don't know. It's not perfect yet. By the way, it's not perfection. It's about progress. Perfection is the enemy of progress. It's about progress. Perfection is the opposite of being done. Okay. So you got to list your obstacles, whether it's, I don't have time. We all have the same amount of time. So if you're doing something new, if you want to implement a new strategy and a new sales process, marketing strategy and sales process, you have to list this as an obstacle. I don't have time. So a strategy that I work with my clients is I time block. Take time in your calendar and do it first thing in the morning. If it's not done first thing in the morning and you wait to the end of the day, you're going to be tired and you're doing something new, it ain't going to get done. Okay. So this is the foundational document that you're going to build your marketing strategy in your sales process. Without a foundation, things aren't going to stand. Okay. It goes to your building, your house, your marketing strategy, and your sales process. Any questions on that whatsoever?
Yeah, I think Dominic had a question as it relates to consistency mattering more than quality of delivery.
Okay. Was that a question or a statement?
It was in the form of a question. Dominic, if you're out there, feel free to elaborate further on your chat.
Please do, because I want to understand so I can answer.
Hi, thank you, Chaz. Sometimes it's, do you work harder or smarter? And I feel like it falls in that realm. Is it consistency over quality? Like if you look at as a segue, a streamer or a YouTuber, it'll be consistency is what typically gains a following or attention. So, but quality will eventually be adopted because it's the consistency of your content being delivered. Does that make sense?
And yes, okay, I get it. Thank you so much. And by the way, if you're talking with someone, listening is a key, but it's not about listening, it's about understanding. Okay. That's like the most important skill set in sales, in marketing, is understanding your audience. And so to your question, yes, consistency is essential. As you're executing, is going to give you clarity. Okay. Massive execution gives you massive clarity. And when you are consistent, guess what? You're going to get out of your comfort zone and it's not going to be perfect. And you're going like, oh man, that kind of sucked. I didn't say that right. Anybody been embarrassed? I screw up each and every day. I still fail all the time. But those failures, as you're being consistent and you're executing on the strategy within a process, as you're doing things that are flawed and it didn't make sense or it didn't turn out the way that you hoped, you always own your failure and ask yourself the right questions. A lot of people, what they do is they have a failure and they say, oh, and they make an excuse and they ask themselves stupid questions. The questions we ask ourselves determine the direction of our life. Like we can make it, oh, why does this always happen to me? Your brain will answer you. You're an idiot. So if you fail as you're executing, failure is a step in a process, not a definite, it doesn't define you. It's not a destination. As long as you own it and ask yourself the right questions, what can I learn from this? So I hope that answers that. So what I want to do, we have the foundation built. Any other questions on the foundation?
Really quick, Dominic, and this may be something we have to follow up with later. Are you going to make the materials, the documents that you're using as a visual aid right now available?
$10,595. Nope. Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to.
They may have paid it. I'm not sure, but
I'll just throw that out there.
yeah.
It'll be in Doge currency.
Right. Yeah.
Pesos. All right. Yes, I definitely will do it, and we'll work out. We should have some time at the end to answer some questions, and so I can actually share the link to this because this is a Google Doc with everything in here. All right. So moving on from positioning yourself. So who you serve, what are the outcomes, who you work with, who you don't, where are they without you? Where are they after they become your client? Your onboarding process, your why in listing. Let me speak English here and slow down a little bit. Listing your obstacles and giving yourself a strategy to overcome those obstacles. Anybody have, I'll give you one strategy right here for you and your sales team. Does anyone know the 5-second rule? By the way, it's not dropping food on the ground and eating it.
I knew that.
Does anybody know the 5-second rule besides that? So Mel Robbins, no relationship to Tony Robbins, she wrote a book called The 5-Second Rule, but I can sum it up in about 20 seconds. When you go to do something, say you're in a meeting and you want to speak in the meeting because maybe somebody said something that was weird or awkward, your prospective client, and you're like, oh man, I can't believe they said that. If you don't respond and you don't want to react, okay, I say respond instead of react because if a doctor gives you medication and you're sick and you react, ain't good. Same in conversations. If you react, it ain't good, but respond, that is good. So if someone says something awkward, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they just said that. Like I have people that will show up to an initial conversation with me. The first words out of their mouth are, Chaz, I just want you to know, we really don't have a budget, or if we do, it's a shoestring budget. And so I always say, why are we talking? I have nothing against them, but they reached out to me. Why are we talking? That's a pattern interrupt. And because I'm so used to this, I've been doing this over time, day in and day out. I still make mistakes. I haven't arrived. I still have speaking problems, obviously. So the 5-second rule is when you have the thought to take action, to get started, because that's the hardest thing, is this countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, act. That little 5-second rule has helped me more times and my clients more times than anyone else. So that's something that you can implement and have your team implement. You can also do a YouTube search for Mel Robbins 5-second rule. Okay. So we have the foundation. Now what we need to do is we need to position ourselves on LinkedIn. We're going to jump into LinkedIn. And this is where a lot of people, everybody see my, Daniel, can you see my screen okay?
Yep, we're all good, Chaz. Thanks.
Bam. Okay, awesome. All right. So you have your company page, which I'm not going to go into and address, okay, today. You should have a company page set up. People buy, unless you're Apple, Nike, Coca-Cola, people buy from people, unless you're like a huge company like that, okay? And so the way to start to establish and position yourself, establish yourself as an authority, is to position yourself within your LinkedIn profile. Okay. People come to your LinkedIn profile and they're either there or they leave based on a 3-second rule. Does anyone know the 3-second rule? Not the 5-second rule. This is the 3-second rule.
Don't we call them skimmers?
What's that?
Don't we call them skimmers?
Well, if they're not intrigued, they'll leave and they'll probably never come back.
Yeah.
Make sense? They need to go to your profile and they need to be intrigued. So they go from top to bottom. And so first and foremost, there's the big banner photo, okay, up there. And a lot of times people will make it, especially like LinkedIn influencers, these LinkedIn gurus, which I don't associate myself with, they make it all about them. Remember, it's not about you, me, it's about the outcomes we provide. And so what I find is effective, if you in your business are engaging with other people, I find it, and there's a survey, a scientific survey, if you have a photo of you engaging with other people, people are more likely to engage with you, okay? And it's a significant percentage, but it's all those little percentages within marketing that make a big difference over time. So people need to come to your profile and be intrigued so they go from top to bottom. Now, you don't have to have a photo of you. It's like, Chaz, my industry just doesn't really do this. I don't see people. You just want to have a simple background with not a bunch of noise. A lot of times people will shove as much information in there because they want people to see that. The more noise, the more less likely that you'll pass the 3-second rule. So banner photo with you engaging with other people. And if you go to my Chaz Horn on LinkedIn, you'll actually see these two ladies right here are more in focus than I am. And I did that intentionally because it's about me serving, not selling. Okay. That's the intention, to serve. Okay. So a banner photo of you, and then your photo needs to be updated. And please don't like, oh, the photo needs to be updated. I worked with somebody who was into ads, and they said, based on your photo, the psychology behind that, there's I can't remember the percentage. They told me, I said, Chaz, you would not believe and understand the difference with ads with the right photo and the wrong photo. So what I encourage you to do is go to photofeeler.com, photofeeler.com, photofeeler.com. Daniel, if you could put that in the comments, photofeeler.com, not now, but later, and put your photo. There's like a dating thing. That's not what I'm asking you. There's a professional section there too. And they're going to give you feedback based on professionalism, likability, and whatnot. Okay. So your photo, there's an audio feature for you to record a message, 10 seconds. Okay. They say it's for pronouncing your name, and which is good because there's a lot of times I need to go to pronounce.com to understand how to learn to pronounce people's name correctly. But I record an audio message. Welcome to my profile. Welcome to my profile. If you see something that's intriguing or would like to communicate, send me a direct message. Okay. That's who I am. By the way, you being you will attract the exact right clients into your business and repel the wrong ones. You, with all your idiosyncrasies, your team members with all their idiosyncrasies and flaws, that brings the flawsomeness into communications. Okay. I'm not talking about not being professional. I'm talking about being real, authentic, and transparency. The world is crying out for authenticity and transparency. And on social media and on LinkedIn, if you're just like the normal, hello, how are you? And there's no flavor to who you are, people aren't going to want to communicate because you'll sound like everyone else. Now, you aren't going to be like me, and that's okay. The idea is, you know, your idiosyncrasies. And if you don't, ask your significant other or your family members. They'll tell you. Okay. Now we're going from top to bottom. The thing you need to do next is your value proposition. Okay. So Monday, your value proposition has to solve your prospective client's Monday problem. Monday. I don't know why I always say it like that, but I do. So Monday is in your prospective clients' minds. The weekend ends. Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, in their minds, they think about their week, and then they think about the problems that are unresolved from last week. Those reoccurring problems that happen week after week, month after month, quarter after quarter, and year after year in many cases. Okay. You need to solve their Monday problem with your value proposition. Remember, we talked about outcomes. So schedule qualified meetings on LinkedIn with emotional intelligence each day, onboard new clients each week. N for no, if this solves your Monday problem, and Y for yes, if this does solve your Monday problem. Got some feedback, Daniel?
Yep. 2 yeses so far.
Okay, 2. And so hopefully everyone else is still engaged. The more engaged you are, the more you're going to get out of it. Okay. All right. So you need to solve your prospective client's Monday problem. All right. By the way, if you have the bad photo, it will repel people. All right. The next thing is, oops, I think I went one too far. The next section on your profile is the about section. Okay. This, you get like 2 to 3 sentences. LinkedIn always changes it around a little bit. On here, you see 2 sentences, and then you see more. So what do you think your objective here is right off the bat? Just looking at this. Any feedback? I'll give you a hint. It's one of the 2 arrows. Bum, 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 bum. You want to get them to click see more. Okay. So your headline here, you want to put information here that speaks to you being the authority. That's what when you're positioned. Remember, know, like, trust. Okay. Everybody familiar with that? Goes back to Dale Carnegie days. Okay. Know, like, and trust is good, but you got to see you as an authority. Know, like, trust, see you as an authority. If they don't see you as an authority, they're going to go on down to the road to your competition who they do see as an authority. That's the key differentiator in the marketplace in 2021. They see you as an authority. Okay. So homeless to top B2B salesperson. And just so you know, I used to not want to talk about that. I had a lot of shame in my life because of that. And I was embarrassed, but that's who I am. So I put that in. Plus, it's kind of intriguing, right? Your story from your past and whatnot, it speaks to your audience, your target market. People don't want to speak with a robot. They want to speak with an individual who has a personality. Okay. So homeless to top B2B salesperson in 8 different industries over 25 years, 14,500 hours, now over 15,000 hours executing on LinkedIn, develop our LinkedIn strategy. That gives reason for people to click see more, right? So you establish yourself as an authority, so they click see more. Here's one of my clients, okay? He's in environmental health and safety. And he was really struggling. His name is Steve. He goes, Chaz, I don't know. I just don't really have all that stuff in there. I said, okay, take me through the process when you work with your clients. Tell me what you do. And well, I do audits. I said, well, how many audits have you done? No, we got to 2,000. I said, well, that's a lot of audits. So with those audits, what happens? So we went back and forth, 90,000 findings. Okay. So what are we talking about is actually people, places you worked with? Well, 400 facilities. Okay. And so what's the bottom line in the outcomes? Well, I've helped them comply with over 9,000 regulations. And that's given him the experience to manage your EHS workflow. If you're looking for EHS, would you want to click see more on that? Okay. Does that make sense? That's powerful. I was pretty excited about this with Steve. And he's like, yeah, all right. Okay, so once you click see more, you're looking at the about section. Anybody want to take a stab at PAS, what that stands for? Let me pull it. Oops, nobody? Problem, agitate, solve. Okay, so your prospective clients have a problem and they wouldn't be clicking see more if they didn't have a problem. They're intrigued. You solved their Monday problem. They're clicking the about section to learn more. So you're in their eyes, you're establishing yourself as the authority, right? They click see more, and then it's about their problem. You're agitating it, and then you're solving it. Okay. So I go a little bit more into detail with clients that schedule thousands of qualified meetings, their sales process to onboard over 15,000 new clients. So this experience has given me insight into an ever-changing marketplace. I'm noticing disturbing trends emerging based on my experience, which gives me the know-how to speak to your problem. Make sense? And you could say, no, it doesn't make sense, Chaz, and we can have a conversation about this, okay? So they focus on tactics. Now, here's the problem, and I'm starting to agitate the problem. They focus on tactics, leads, antiquated methods while not understanding emotional intelligence and or how to use psychology on LinkedIn. They struggle with an empty sales pipeline. And then I really agitate it because they've spent tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars chasing leads and expecting salespeople to solve their problems. By the
Chaz,
way,
I think Dominic, one of our participants here, has a question. Are you referring to being disruptive when you say agitate? Is that sort of the same?
No, I'm agitating in their mind. People buy based on how they feel. Do they feel they want to buy something? And so in order for someone to understand, as people, and great question, Dominic, by the way. So as people, we're great at humans of suppressing how we feel. We have the same problem that happens day after day, week after week, month after month. And unless someone brings that problem to the surface and says, Chaz, do you see that this is causing this? We usually go day after day doing the same thing, expecting different results. We all know what that's the definition of. Insanity. So what I'm doing is I'm speaking to people. It's a noisy marketplace out there. I'm agitating their problem. Okay.
Right, but what happens if it's a middle person that's just following either an order or a request that has no emotional investment, that they're only following a request? How do you agitate that process in their mind if they have no or little interaction or attachment to that purchasing process? How does that even come to fruition?
Everybody has agitations, okay? If it's a middle manager, how many people speak with the decision maker or speak with someone who is not at the decision maker, an influencer?
It could be 50-50 sometimes. Okay.
Would that be accurate for everyone in here? Why in the chat? Okay, I see a lot of people shaking their hands. Okay, not shaking their hands. Bye, Chaz, I'm done with you. Shaking their heads. Okay, so my question to you is, now what size companies are we talking about that you're going into?
I mean, 100 seats to up to 1,000, it depends.
Okay, I get that. Is typically, like, just put in the chat, why? If you're focusing on 10 or 0 to 50 employees, put a Y there in the chat. Okay. And then 50 to 100, put yes, 10, 0 to 50, and then not 1 to 50, right? You can't talk to 0 people. And then yes for 50 to 100, and then 100 and above, put yes, 100 and above.
We have about 6 on that small, medium business yeses, and then 2 that said they're dealing with larger enterprise type.
Okay.
3. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. I appreciate that. Great. And this is what makes this great, so I can drill down, and thank you so much for that question.
Let's not forget the nonprofits. Those are the fun ones.
Yeah, so nonprofits are the sales process is the same whether you're talking with large corporations or small. Now it's more complex. So my question to all of you is, I had a guy, make sure we're doing okay on time. We are. I had a guy, the president of my company told me I was working with manufacturers, medium to large manufacturers, some smaller ones. And the president of my company said, Chaz, do not reach out to the CEO or the president of the company. We are at the bottom of the priority list. Okay. And he goes, reach out to the buyers and the materials manager, another word for buyer. Those are the people you talk to. Well, after a year of dealing with a buyer, and I don't know how many hours I spent in this buyer, she said, you know what, Chaz, we don't need your services. I was so upset. I got in my car. I called the president of this manufacturer. It's called Henke Manufacturing, by the way, in Leavenworth, Kansas. I called the president. I actually got through. I scheduled a meeting with him. And guess what? He had the buyer come into his office for my first meeting. We ended up picking up a $150,000 a month client 60 days after that initial meeting. So my question is, I will push you out of your comfort zone and ask you, why don't you reach the decision makers? I understand sometimes you can't, but so whoever it is that you speak to, you need to speak to their agitations, okay? It's going to be different. If you're talking to the CEO, they have different agitations than you do a mid-level manager. I was just dealing with a client with this the other day who works with corporations. So yes, it's just about agitating their pain. And if you ask them what their pain is, they'll tell you, okay? So it's their problem, you agitate it, and then you solve it down here. All right. So as they're going from top to bottom, the next section, and if you don't have a featured post, you may not see this on your LinkedIn profile. This is the place where you you reinforce you as an authority because you have client testimonials. Okay, this is from April 9th. Rex, I hit a ceiling on LinkedIn. I was successful building followers, but clueless on how to find the people and actually wanted to do business. So he goes on to say that, spoiler alerts, I paid back my investment 5 times over before I finished with my coaching with Chaz. Okay. So this is for people who are going to look at, and they're going to say, oh, wow, this person is genuine. They're just not saying the right things. Jason is an MSP who got all of his business from referrals. Referrals are great, but they're not predictable. He came in and he made the Inc. 5000. He's made the Inc. 5000 for 2 years. Okay. So the featured posts are to reinforce you from your client's perspectives. And you should have in your process, as you're working with people, a step in the process when you onboard them to give you feedback. So they can give you a testimonial video and you can interview them. Anybody have questions on that, by the way? Because sometimes people do.
One, not necessarily related, but before we get too far past when the question was asked, Chaz, Keir had an inquiry as far as how do people get to your LinkedIn page and how that relates with Google or other search engines. Why wouldn't, or how they get routed to you? How can you drive more traffic there, I guess, as opposed to just Google, 1, 2, 3 search listings?
Oh man, that's a great question. Who answered that? Who asked that question?
Keir Edwards. He may still be out there somewhere. Keir, are you out there?
That's a great question. Wow. Okay. So if you talk about Google, which is SEO, let's talk about LEO. You know what LEO is? LinkedIn engine optimization. Okay. So if I put in B2B, this is my company right here. Okay. See how it's like up top there? That's the company page. Okay. So you can, with your name, and I don't do this anymore, but if I went in my name, next to my name, and if I put, which I used to do, if I put B2B strategist in here, and if people are looking for B2B sales, B2B, whether my name is going to rank in LEO, LinkedIn Engine Optimization, okay? Because everything the people plug in here, addition to names and whatnot will come up, okay? So does that answer your question? That's a great question, by the way.
Thank you, Chaz.
Sure. So let's talk about search appearances, which we were just talking about because of that great question. So if you scroll down to your dashboard, pull up your LinkedIn profile, scroll down to your dashboard. It's about 1/3. And here's the LEO. You were like reading my mind because I was just about to talk about that. You have these numbers. You have who's viewed your profile. That number is based on over 90 days. Okay. Then you have your post views or article views, whatever your content that you posted. That's if you posted it a minute ago, this is going to be tell you the views on there. Okay. And then search appearances. We were just talking about search appearances. This number is based on people who your name comes up in search appearances. Remember, I was talking like, B2B. I'm not in there because I took it out, but Rachel, who actually worked with me, I have her set up here. I typed in B2B. And so that would be appearing in a search appearance. Okay. So, the best way, anybody have a guess on the best way to increase traffic to your profile?
Consistency.
Consistently doing what though?
Um,
I agree with that. Yes.
posting because that usually sharing and trends your posts is one
Got some
way.
people that suggest adding video content and commenting, interacting with other posts and asking questions.
Backlinking.
Yes. The quickest way to get people to engage with you is to engage on other people's content. Okay. In a thoughtful, meaningful way. Oh man, this is good. I'm getting excited here. I just had goosebumps. Okay. I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but I just wanted to, actually I got duck bumps. You guys know what duck bumps are? Those are the bumps on top of goosebumps. Seriously. All right. This is exciting stuff. Remember cold calls? Screw those. This is enjoyable. These triggers give people reasons to go to your LinkedIn profile. Okay. You comment on someone's post in a meaningful way, they go to your profile, and Saman is short for Samonday. I didn't have enough room here. Okay. They go to your profile, you solve their Samonday problem, and they go through there. They start to see you as an authority. So commenting on other people, influencers in your industry, you can get a following of people who know, like, trust you, and see you as an authority. That was who answered that? Who brought that? Who's said that?
Diana.
Boom, Diana.
TechFirst,
All right, rock and roll. That's exactly right. And guess what? If you comment on somebody else's post, that comment you can use as micro content. A lot of times we get so fixated on, I don't know what to do or get content out there. You can learn and create, take that create out of the, just commenting on their post will give you ideas for content. Okay. Boom. Anybody look at their numbers here? I'll tell you that my clients typically are somewhere between 750 to 2,000 viewing their profile. Their post views, I got clients that get better views on their content than I do, anywhere from 1 to 10,000 and above. And then search appearances typically are 400 to 1,000. Okay. So just so you know, we talk about commenting. This is flowing nicely. If you comment on somebody else's post, everybody on LinkedIn could go to your activity and see what you're saying. So I'm sure no one in this group is, trolls or doing that. But if you are, ain't no one going to want to work with you because everyone's going to know what you're saying. All right. So they can see your activity. I'm not going to go into the experience because the way it is on LinkedIn, it doesn't really rank that highly. Skills and endorsements, it really is meaningless because a lot of people just check. Okay. And it's not really coming from people who are your clients. Now, endorsements, recommendations at the bottom of the page are good. And you may have noticed Rex. I just took a screenshot and I put it up there in the featured post. So you should have, hey, I have a pending recommendation. Very cool. So you should have recent recommendations, because as people come to your profile, they're going to go from top to bottom. All right. Anybody have questions on positioning on LinkedIn?
Feel free to put them in the chat if there are.
Yep.
As well.
Please do. Any questions?
We have a comment. Best way to get a recommendation is to give one. Do you agree or disagree there?
Yeah, I agree. You should give recommendations. And again, you should have part of your process as you're onboarding clients into your business. You should have a step after they become a client. Like for me, when someone goes, I have a 10-week boot camp they come through. At the end of 10 weeks, I will interview them. I'm just instituting this to give them feedback on the good, bad, and the ugly. You allow people to tell you of the bad things, the good things, the ugly things. You'll have a deeper connection and you learn from them. And then you ask, would you be comfortable giving me a recommendation? So if it's in your process, by the way, I was lousy at doing this when I was in sales, because the companies I worked for, they didn't have this in the process. If you put it in the process and it's a step that people need to go through, then you're going to have more recommendations. If you're delivering on your solution, okay, you'll have more recommendations than you can ever imagine. Okay. Anything else, Daniel, before we go to the next step?
I think that covers it. Yep.
All right. Boom. Okay. Now we are going to go into Sales Navigator. So raise your hands. I can see all of you right now. Raise your hands if you are on a scale of 1 to 5. You're a 5. I know Sales Navigator backwards and forwards. Or a 3. I've heard of Sales Navigator. I use it a little bit, but don't really know it very well. Okay. And then a 1.
That was 3 threes.
Okay. How many 3s?
3.
3. And
then 3 1s that have never heard of it.
Okay. And then, okay. Well, I didn't get to ask my last question. So Sales Navigator, what's that? Okay. So Sales Navigator is a demographic. Well, it does 1,000,001 things that you don't need it to do. And it's a way to, what for the purposes right now, it's to identify your target market and connect with it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about a demographic search, your industry, the geography, the decision makers that you reach out to, okay, the size company, but I'm going to add a twist to that. Does anybody know what a psychographic search is? Not psycho search, okay? A psychographic search. All right. A psychographic search. Now, let me share my screen here. So a psychographic search is a search finding people according to their attitudes, aspirations, and other psychological criteria, especially in market research, i.e. LinkedIn strategy, right? This is when you incorporate emotional intelligence. And sometimes when I use the word emotional intelligence, people get, oh, Chaz, I don't know about emotional. I don't know emotional intelligence. It's reaching people based on their motivators and behaviors as opposed to yours, okay? Most people on LinkedIn 90% of LinkedIn do reach out to people and connect because they're trying to pitch and they're trying to spam. And you need to do the opposite, okay? Quick question. Does anyone know who SpongeBob is? Mike's thinking, man, I don't know if I should have recommended Chaz to Tim. He's talking about SpongeBob in here.
SpongeBob has some notoriety in this group. Yes.
All right.
About 4 or 5 people are aware of his existence.
By the way, my kids work for me today. Both of them do. 21 and 24, my daughter and son. When I was, I love watching cartoons, and SpongeBob was one of our favorite shows. SpongeBob had a series called Opposite Day where he did the opposite. So I want this to stick in your mind. Now you're going to think SpongeBob opposite. If you want to be 50% ahead of everyone else on LinkedIn, do the opposite of what everyone else is doing. Okay. And that's reaching people based on their motivators and their behaviors, not yours. That's emotional intelligence. Okay. So I'm going to go to Sales Navigator, which is part of LinkedIn. It's a separate website that ties in. And so I'm going to do a quick demographic search. Are we doing okay as far as we need to take a potty breaks or anything like this, or we continue to rock and roll?
Yes is for potty break. If we get a majority, we'll consider it.
Yeah. Why?
I think we can keep going. Tom's
Okay.
hungry, but it's 2:00. He already missed that window.
All right. Oh man, I'm hungry too. Okay. So what I'm going to do, this is a search feature, and they talk about it being search for leads. I have a problem with the word leads. Okay. It's not leads. It's targeted contact information, which can be powerful if used with the right strategy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do some of the main areas that are most important. It could change a little bit. I just want to give you a 30,000 foot level. Okay. So right now, relationships, just so you know, first degree connections, that's like being friends with someone on Facebook. Okay. That's the LinkedIn version. Okay. If you're connected with someone, I'm connected with Mike. We're first degree connections. Second degree connections. That means that they aren't connected with you, but they're connected with someone who is connected with you. Okay. And then these are if you're in the same group. Third degree connections they're not connected with you and they're not connected with anyone who's connected with you. Okay. So if you're looking to bring new people by connecting with people based on a demographic search, okay, typically you're going to go after second degree connections. All right. So we'll just do this for right now. And then you put in your industries, and I have a whole slew of these in here right now. United States, I actually work all over the world, but most of my clients are in the United States. Okay. And then you could click in titles here and individually put in titles, especially like doing mid-level managers. Typically what I'm doing is I'm just going to put owner and partner. People I work with typically are small businesses, one employee to 20. Okay. So, and then this I would actually leave out. And so I have it 1 to 50. Okay. So search. Booyah, 43,000 people. LinkedIn would call these leads, but they're not leads. So these are people within your demographics that you can reach out to. And this is how most people on LinkedIn will do it, which is the wrong way. Okay. Now, if you see this category up here, 43, 2K changed jobs in the past 90 days. If you're reaching a CEO and they just changed the job, they might be making some changes, or the mid-level manager, whatever, whoever you're talking to. Okay. Mentioned in the news. You talk about reaching people based on their motivators and their experience, a psychographic search. You can go and find out, like this guy, the big Google Zero click debate, who is right? So Rand Fishkin is someone you can reach out to him. I saw you're in the news. Congratulations. I liked your point about X, Y, and Z. You think he's going to connect with you? Most likely. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now is, by the way, let me get your the right. Raise your hands. I want to get the view on here. How many people think that your people aren't active on LinkedIn? Okay. Michael, what who do you typically talk to? And you can put it in the chat if you want, or come on mute, or Susan.
Yeah, independent physicians.
Okay,
I have to chase the office managers often in order
Yes.
to track them down.
that's a good one.
Hmm.
And if I had more time, I can actually go in here. More and more physicians are getting on here and being active. And you can do a search for physicians and go to posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. By the way, this is a little bit misleading. LinkedIn needs to correct this. They're active on people's content, not meaning they're posting their content. So that's a lie. LinkedIn's lying to us. Okay. So this is where if I was going to the physicians, I would go there. Now I will tell you overall, 91% of business execs go to LinkedIn first and foremost, the feed, to get information about Fast Company, Forbes, Inc. Okay. That's where they get information from. So your people are on here. Physicians, that was a good one. But even physicians, you can get a hold of people on here. Physicians are tough, and you going through their office manager is like, eh. I was working with someone who did medical billing, and they were doing this search and able to get through to the physician. Okay. That was a real good one, Susan. So posted on LinkedIn the last 30 days. So I can go to Andre, and there's going to be some steps. It's like, what did you just do? What do you do? It's just, if there's going to be a recording of this that you have access to, I believe. I'm going to go to Andre's, LinkedIn profile. And I'm going to go to his activity to see what he's engaging in. Okay. And they have all activity, their articles. And so 11 hours ago, he actually posted something. This gives me insight into his mind and a reason to reach out based on his motivators and his behaviors. Okay. And let me give you a really cool example of what I did for my clients. Okay. I just did what I took you through to go to Gary Vaynerchuk's post based on a search I did in the search criteria. Does anybody know Gary Vaynerchuk by chance? Not personally, but know of him? People,
Dominic, yeah, we got some yeses.
yeah, people either love him or hate him. He knows what he's talking about. He's the guy who coined the phrase document, don't create, which is going to be our next subject coming up soon. Okay. So I searched a guy who was a CEO doing the demographic psychographic search. He commented on Gary Vaynerchuk's post. I went to Gary Vaynerchuk's post to see what it was. Okay. And a psychographic search, if you understand people who are influencers in your industry that people follow on LinkedIn, your target market who follows them on LinkedIn, you can gain a lot of information, and it's an easy segue to learn about their problems, their objectives, because they talk about it under the post. A lot of people think content is just up here. A lot of the value in the content are the comments below the content. Okay. So Gary is on his post one final time, Thursday afternoon. He posts like 15 times a day. LinkedIn has amazing organic outreach, AKA free attention. Many of you, what you post on your is what you should also be thinking about on your LinkedIn profile. So he posts about this. So I scroll down and I come to my friend David, who I located him. And remember, I did this search. And let me back up one step. Based on
Gary's posts though carry a lot of weight. They kind of proliferate on their own.
Yep. What do you mean by that?
They his his content and also his, I guess, word and sentence structure garner a lot of hits, either on Instagram, on YouTube, because he even now has subtitles, because he's caught on that subtitles are even crawled upon. So you can get a lot of traction on a video or like a TikTok or type of social media if you put subtitles. And in that sense that all of his content tracks very well on all social media platforms.
It does. And he's a master. And just so you know, like Facebook, LinkedIn, you can have the same person on Facebook that's on LinkedIn, and the same post on Facebook that resonates with them will not resonate with them on Facebook, because people think differently on different platforms. So I'm just going back to this, and thanks for the feedback on that, Dominic. I'm just going back to where I was. I clicked 15th, the who's been active on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. And by going through that, I came to David, who had commented on Gary's post. Gary's talking about LinkedIn is amazing, organic reach, it's free. And then so I scroll down and I find David here. Let me see if I can increase this because it's kind of small.
Gary had stated that the ROI had surpassed Facebook, or it's where Facebook used to be at its launch, so that it's very, now's the time to use it.
2010, 2011. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The organic, it's gone down a little bit, but it's still the best. It's free, everybody. It's free. Okay.
I'll try and do Eric Robbins' question justice here, Chaz. He asked, in terms of productive activity, how many of these, I assume, searches on the Sales Navigator tool do you expect to do in an hour? At what percentage of those will accept your invite? First, second connection?
Yeah. So first, you're already connected to. Okay. Second degree, it's if you're doing it and you have your profile set up correctly, that's key. Your profile being set up correctly. Typically, we're talking about 30 to 40% connection rate. Okay. And if you do a search on a Sales Navigator, you did a search. I mean, as you saw, those were 43,000 people. My clients typically are reaching out. If they don't already have a base of people on LinkedIn, they're reaching out to maybe 20 people a day. A lot of people are reaching out to like 50 or 100, and that will get you in trouble on LinkedIn. It's about, and they're messaging about, they're scheduling one meeting out of 10 messages when they understand the skill set of emotional intelligence. Okay. So going to David, who I located him through the demographic psychographic search, he says this. He's commenting on Gary's post. LinkedIn is amazing. Nobody reads anything, so what's the point? So this guy is in some pain, right? And so is this guy someone who I can potentially help, who's communicating a problem from a place of pain? He's put himself out here, made himself vulnerable by saying, does everyone get the connection there? He's communicating a problem he has that I can help with. I can go to Gary's comments right now. As long as someone's on LinkedIn, I show my clients this. I can schedule a meeting typically in 15 minutes. Boom. Because people are communicating their problem. That's the power of understanding the skill set and how to search and looking for people's comments. Okay. So he comments that. I go to his profile. As I said, he's a CEO, he's the founder, he's in my target market. He's commenting about his content not getting a reach. So what else should I look for? His content. I want to see what his content looks like, right? And so by the way, he's following Gary Vee, his instructions by posting like 5 to 7 times a day, but his content is really bad. It's all about, it's got some people yelling on the phone. You got these stock photos and you have their phone number. It's like, call for our website. All right. out of like these 1, 2, 3, 4 posts, which is our one day, he has one person engaging on his comment. Okay. So
And this kind of follows the question that I had earlier, consistency versus quality. And that's a good example of actually visually somebody who thinks that they're consistent or they're being consistent, but obviously the quality is lacking. Therefore, you get the results of that effort.
yeah, and so this is why when I talk about he's failing, he's not owning it and asking himself the right questions. He's the one saying, what's the use? No one reads my post anyways. So he's not owning his failure. If he would own it and ask himself, what am I doing wrong? If he would ask the question on there and maybe he would get some feedback, it's like, and I'm going to show you right here because I'm responding to this problem is what can I do? What can I change so I get people to engage in my content? So execution brings clarity, but only if you own your failure and ask yourself the right questions. Okay. So I send him a DM, a direct message. Okay. Now, just so you know, we are first degree connections. I showed you a second degree connection search. You can do a first degree connections. And so if you have people that are first degree connections, you can do the same search to find people. Now I'm connected with them, but like on social media, I'm connected. We've been connected for a while, but I don't know him. He doesn't know me. All right. But the most likely way to get someone to communicate with you is if you're already connected. Okay. So I connect with him. I saw your comment on Gary Vee's post and I hope to connect. If you're not connected, that's what I would say. Okay. I'm already connected. So I send him a DM based on his comment. Remember, psychographic, emotional intelligence based on their motivators and their behaviors. It takes my clients about 30 days to build this skill set. But once they do, it changes everything in all their conversations, their marketing, their sales. All right. I send him a video. Did everyone know that you can send a video on your app, your LinkedIn app? Or you can send a voice message too. It's a way to differentiate yourself from everyone else. I wanted him to hear my tone and my body language. Okay. So I comment below the video. I saw your comment on Gary Vee post about outreach. Nobody reads anything. So what's the point? I recorded a personal video message and this is exactly what I said. If I was speaking to you or I was speaking to David, or I'll speak to Mike. Mike, I saw your comment on Gary Vee's post that you're struggling getting people to engage in your content. I have an idea that may help. Would you be interested in scheduling a brief meeting? If so, that's my CFO, my Chief Fun Officer in the background. Would you be interested in scheduling a brief meeting? I'm not going to pitch you. I'd like to learn more, just 20 minutes. If I think I can help and if you're interested, we can schedule a more in-depth conversation. That was it. Okay.
Chaz, do we have time to walk through the process on how to access the video messaging?
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. I'm in the other room here. I'm creating a new video studio, which I'm real excited to bring all sorts of new LinkedIn content. By the way, if you go to the search feature on LinkedIn and you type in "Go Rock This Day," you can access you can access my content for the past 3 months. Okay. Back to so what I'm going to do here is, hold on a second. Does anybody know this guy?
Does that say Mike Brogan? No.
Yeah. Okay. So on here, do you see the little microphone on there?
Yeah.
Okay. So this would be for the audio. Mike, this is Chaz. Thank you for inviting me to speak or with Tim. I'm having a blast today. I hope you guys are too. So that would be the audio message. Mike, this is Chaz. Thank you for inviting me. So he just received that. Now let's do a video message. On here, there's a little plus sign. Can you see the plus sign?
Yeah.
Okay. So I click on the plus sign. And as I click on it, you see video?
I do.
Okay, everybody else see the video on there? I'm going to click video and you got to turn it around so that it's facing you. Hold on a second.
Maybe if you can spotlight your window, it would help.
And then, so hold on one second. Hey, Mike, this is Chaz again. I'm recording a video for you. And then you record the video and then you just send it. And that's it. If you're having problems accessing that information, make sure you update your LinkedIn app. Okay. So that's how you, anybody have questions on that? It's real simple. It's just messing around with it and doing that.
Chaz, that's part of the free version of LinkedIn. That does not require Navigator, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes. The pros and cons of sending someone a video or a voice message, the pros, voice, they hear your tone, okay? Or video, they see your body language. The cons are if they see your message and they're doing other things, they don't have time to listen or watch, then they may not come back to that. Okay. So does that answer your question?
Let us know if we need to come back to that, Chris. Thanks.
Yep. Okay. So I send David the video message. Okay. And I tell him I don't have a sales pitch. Everything is a sales pitch. We all need sales. So he needs a pattern interrupt here because I need to get him off of his normal train of thinking that someone's trying to pitch him and sell him. A pattern interrupt is what I teach my clients. It was when I said, some people come to me and they say, Chaz, just so you know, before we start talking, I don't really have a budget, or if I do, it's a shoestring budget. Why are we talking? That's a pattern interrupt. Okay. So I respond to his, we all need sales. So I go for no. By the way, no is not the worst thing that you can hear in sales. Think it over, or ghosting is the worst thing. Okay. So I don't have a sales pitch, as I don't even know if I can help you. And that's why I suggested we talk. But if not interested, no worries. Have a good day. Then I thought, I'll just say this last thing. As I mentioned, I may be able to help, but your call. And then 2 minutes later, sure, give me a call. Okay. This is how quickly it can happen when you build the skill set. So you're reaching people based on their motivators and their behaviors. And it doesn't take a lot of outreach and spamming and whatnot. It's about reaching people based on their motivators and their behaviors. Remember, we talked about SpongeBob, opposite day. You differentiate yourself in the marketplace by reaching people based on what's important to them. And LinkedIn gives you all this information to do that. Okay. Questions? No questions. All right. We are going to move on to content. Just got it. Just got the video. Okay, just got it. Okay, good. Thanks, Mike. All right. I mentioned earlier that Mike or that Gary talked about document, don't create. Who struggles here with getting content out in general? I do, right? Tell me what prevents you from getting content out? Let me just pull this up. Don't know what to say. Redundancy, time, red tape. Okay, thank you. Debbie, David, Susan, Dominic. Red tape. Time. We all have the same amount of time in the day. And this is why when you talk about creating content, it's like, I don't have time to create content. So when you document what you do, you can produce content. I almost said create. You produce content as you're going through your day. And I thought about going through the steps and whatnot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create content right here based on our conversation. And so, and I'm going to include all of you. If you guys want to come on video, or let's see if I can get as many people on video as possible. I'm going to include you, and you could go off video if you don't want to be included in the post. I'm going to do a screenshot here, and we're going to produce some content right here and now. I am going to tell you guys to get ready to smile. Okay, get ready, look at the screen and smile. Okay, do this for 3 seconds. And when I say 3, 2, 1, smile for 3 seconds. Boom. All right. So I just took a picture and we're going to include this on, hold on a second. On content. Okay. So I put Varnix, but this should actually be Synix here, right?
Varnex is acceptable too.
Okay. How many people attended the event?
Tanya?
Had over 50, 20, 10, 30?
This event, 44.
We talked about LinkedIn marketing strategy, sales process, emotional intelligence, and mindset. Mindset is woven in throughout, okay? We talked about how to, and you guys can incorporate this too if you want to add anything to this post. We're documenting now our conversation. We talked about how to reach people through a psychographic search. By the way, not a psycho search. Okay. Imagine finding your prospective clients talking about their problems, the problems they have that you can solve on LinkedIn. Whoa. Okay. We talked about so much today. See comments below from takeaways from people who attended the event. Go rock this day. I will sign off everything. Go rock this day. It's my modern day of Carpe Diem. Remember, I was the homeless dude living in his car. So any day that I'm alive and living in a house with food, water, shelter, and everything like that, even though that was a long time ago, I'm just so grateful for where I am in life. Okay. And then I have Bridget, Alexa, Daniel, Haley. I didn't have Mike in here. Okay. So, you see how simple that was? That was documenting. Oops. Somebody time me on this and tell me how long it took to document. Now, obviously, I wrote this last night. Okay. So I'm going to do on LinkedIn, just before I create this, one of the coolest things in the highest algorithm, that means the way to get the reach is through polls. You can do market research by creating polls on LinkedIn, and you have people that are communicating their problems and whatnot. So that's a great way to reach people and do market research. Okay. So I'm creating this poll. I have a picture. Boom. Done. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I've heard anything from 60 to 90% of information is lost after you leave an event like this, right? So one of the ways to make sure that you retain information is to engage on the information that you took away from today. So I'm going to post this, then I'm going to share the link in the chat. I'm going to give everyone like 60 seconds to engage on the post, like, comment, what, if you enjoyed it. If you didn't, you don't have to. And then comment below, what's one takeaway you got from the event? What's one takeaway you got from the event? Okay. So. And I just want to talk about, and I'll go back and tag them at a later date to make sure, at a later time, make sure I have everything there. Hashtags, I'm using LinkedIn marketing, sales, which is kind of a big encompassing thing. This is going, people who follow hashtags, or these hashtags, are more likely to see this content. Sales process, sales coaching, sales advice. So I typically put like 4 or 5 hashtags in there. Okay. I just put like growth mindset, bam. All right. And so, bam. And we have a post that we just documented. Anybody time me on that?
26 seconds, approximately.
So now what I'm going to do is stop this because I can't see. I just put a link to the post in the chat. If you would click on the link, that will take you directly to the content and engage. If you love it, if you like it, or agree with it, or you find it in whatever, or curious, and then comment below with one of your takeaways from today. I'm going to give you guys 60 seconds to do that while I get some water. Okay.
I think that word, Dominic, was a cross between Sunday and Monday. I will solicit some help with the phonetic. That's right, Debbie. Thank you. So Monday.
Alrighty. Rock and roll. Let's see what we got here. All right. And if someone's engaging on your you could have got a better picture of me, Mike. So if people are engaging on your content, make sure that you engage with their comments. Engaging mean they're commenting and whatnot. Okay. So,
Chaz, we did have a question on drip campaigns and just your general consensus on them, effectiveness.
When you define a drip campaign.
Dominic, define a drip.
So the example that you use is a lot of information is lost after an event, which is true. So a drip campaign is, it allows you to automate a bit your interaction with your customers without having to do the heavy lifting of crafting all your emails or your content. So you can kind of have some automated emails or responses that after a certain period of time, there's a follow-up that's done automatically. So it's either like, hey, how was the event? Did you get anything out of it? Is there anything I can help you out with? If they don't respond back, then there's a follow-up, let's say, following 4 or 5 days, and then it goes back to say, hey, just sent you an email, just want to check if everything was okay. If they do reply, then it's another alternative branch where it says, oh, awesome, thank you for, for confirming that you had a good time. Is there a time we could touch base to follow up on XYZ? So typically those are the way I utilize them.
Yeah, but have they opted in?
You don't necessarily have to, because it's only, if you have their email, then it stems from that contact
Well,
point.
you have canned spam laws and things like this. So it's fine to have automation and follow-ups, but are you spamming them? Is it within the canned spam laws, or are they opting in? And so those are things that I really would encourage you to look at. The more spammy you are, the more you're going to repel people. There's automation on LinkedIn with drip campaigns, and this is why I asked the question. And automation is not allowed on LinkedIn. This is through the LinkedIn direct messages. I don't use any automations. My clients I advise them not to. Okay, I can't tell them or force them not to. But the idea is you don't have to have a lot of drip and whatnot campaign through LinkedIn, because you're reaching them. Now I'm not talking about this event. I'm talking about LinkedIn. If you're connected, they see your profile, they see your content, they see all different things. So you're touching them in a bunch of different areas without having a drip campaign. Yes, if they engage and they have a drip campaign, I mean, you have a drip campaign and they've opted in, it's my understanding that's the right way to do it. That yes, it's the more times you have your name in front of people with some value, and that's the key. You're giving them value and that they can take away. If you don't have value, then drip campaigns are of little, as long as you have value involved. I just want to make sure we're on the same page, Dominic.
Well, the value is, I see it as, so let's say, I'm not sure how many, like what is your customer base, or what is your, like what target you have, or if it's relevant, but let's say for me, it's around like the 300 mark. So in order for me to be, I guess, efficient or optimize my time trying to answer everyone's needs or assist as many customers as I can, the drip campaign just allows to stay in touch and just follow up on what was just shared, provided, because it's a lot of an investment and you want that ROI. So utilizing the drip campaign, the automation and the spam, I mean, it's equal to getting an out of office reply. It's automated, but it's not so much that you're spamming them with a block full of for sale or this new product. It's just more like an automated follow-up.
Yeah, I mean,
Scheduled.
I have email automation for people who come through my process, but they're opting in. Like if I would do, this is an event that I didn't schedule. If I had other people if I did the event, they would opt into the event, and then I would have a sequence of follow-ups after the events. So thanks for joining my event. And if you want to do X, Y, and Z, I'd be happy to talk with you. Yeah. The more that you have automated, when I hear the automation, I go to LinkedIn and I know that's not allowed. So I want to make sure that I'm understanding that. So yeah, anything that you have like that, where it's following up, where you're bringing value to them, it's not spam. That key is value. It is value. Because I see a lot of people I get people on LinkedIn and they have my email address. And so they put me in their email responder, and it's just more of an irritant than anything else. And then if you report those people, and then they can get gray listed or blacklisted, which is not good. I always operate on the side of caution. And so that's why I'm responding how I was to your question. Okay.
No, that totally makes sense. It's another facet that I had not thought of. So that's good.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your heavy engagement throughout. So we have times for Q&A session. It's not just LinkedIn. I mean, I help my clients all the time with Jason, who I was showing you on my main page. we had a conversation one day. We're talking about LinkedIn, and I said, Jason, was there anything else? Is there anybody that's like ghosting you, or you're hard getting a hold of anybody? He's like, oh yeah, I've got 4 people that have been ghosting me for 1 to 6 months. I said, really? Tell me more. Bottom line is, within 2 weeks, he was able to get a hold of them. He's able to uncover the problem, how it's affecting them, what it was costing them, how it's preventing them from reaching a goal or objective. That's the key. You got to get that information before you present. If you present before that, it's too soon. And so he picked up 3 of the 4 clients. It was like $4,000 in recurring revenue and $90,000 in project revenue, just because we talked about strategies on reaching people. So if you have anything with sales, I'd be happy to respond. This is the type of stuff that I live for. I really, really, truly enjoy. So any questions about what we talked about? Or any questions in general about LinkedIn marketing? Maybe we didn't cover something today that you hoped we would have. I'd be happy to take any and all questions.
I joined late, so I'll apologize if you'd already covered this, but did you touch at all about maybe using LinkedIn groups to do any type of engagement or marketing? And is it a faux pas if you use those groups to post things like, we've launched an interesting thought leadership. I would love some of the experts' opinion on what did we get right? What did we miss? What should we do differently? And I did it honestly to get feedback on the resource, but I also did it as a piece of, hey, when I pick up any lead generation here or start a conversation with somebody that gave me some good feedback, but then it said, hey, by the way, I have a project. Have you done anything like that? Any recommendations or thoughts?
So you said there's a lot of things there. So let me make sure. And by the way, I'm gonna put a link in the chat, and then I want to Brian, I want to drill down on that to make sure I understand you correctly. And the link is to my calendar for a 20-minute mini sales and marketing audit. If you want me to meet with you, if you're struggling with your sales, you don't have a sales process, or it isn't effective, you don't have a marketing strategy, we cover both. I'm not going to pitch you on the call. I'm going to learn about you. We'll have open dialogue. If I think I can help, and if you're interested, we'll schedule a more in-depth conversation. So that I'm going to put in that's the link to my calendar. Okay, when you schedule the call, there will be a form that pops up afterwards. I'll have you fill that out because that will help guide and direct our conversation. So I just put that in the chat. So Brian, you said LinkedIn groups. Then I heard a couple other things. You're using LinkedIn groups to get information. Is that kind of the strategy that I'm understanding?
Well, I was using the LinkedIn group to do business and sales development, but I did it in a way of, our company wrote a white paper on technologies used in, let's say, command and control operations. So I went into the command and control center group and said, hey, my company, who's a provider of various technologies, put together a technical brief. I'd like some feedback. Did we hit it? Did we miss it? Anything that we should have done differently or could add to this? So it was more to start a conversation, get some feedback, but at the end of the day, could it help me uncover some very good leads?
Yeah, so the great question. Did you do that? Am I hearing that you did do that?
I did do that, and I wanted to hear from an expert of, I just wanted your thoughts on it and to say.
What was the outcome of that? Did you get feedback?
I did. It was actually pretty good, and I picked up a couple different project lead opportunities that one I actually closed on. So it was that necessarily wasn't my whole intent, but I've started making contacts with people that otherwise probably would have not accepted my LinkedIn invite had I reached out to one of the senior VPs of a huge design firm in America. So that was kind of a plus.
Yes. So I have a LinkedIn group, and I have a whole strategy for developing LinkedIn groups. The notifications, LinkedIn groups used to be the premier groups on all social media back in 2013. They have antiquated the notification systems or whatnot is terrible. So a lot of LinkedIn groups are endless people putting promotional content in there. Okay. And I have to delete posts. And even though I tell people to read the rules when they come into my group. So if you, anywhere you go in and you're asking for feedback and going with the intention to serve, and if they answer a problem that you can solve their problem, you can't serve your prospective clients at the highest level unless what?
You know what their problems are.
Unless they become your client,
Right.
right? So yeah, that's serving them. So to your question, were you here when I was talking about the poll, Brian?
I was a little bit. I had another session I was doing, so I look forward to hearing the recording.
Yeah, I didn't go deep into that, but you go right along this lines. And so LinkedIn has made it very easy. I'll just go to one of my past polls. So you can do this on LinkedIn, is create a poll, and the algorithm, meaning the way that LinkedIn has the people that engage on your content, is highly favored for polls. What? And I put out content daily on LinkedIn. Come on. As you can see. So here is a poll that I have. And so I'm addressing people that are in my target market. As a founder, coach, CEO, consultant, and business owner, which one do you need to focus on in the second quarter? Please vote and comment below. Please like and tag others to take the poll. Let's see where everyone wants to focus. And then I have 4 questions. They give you 2 that are there, and then you can create 2 more options. So how to position yourself on LinkedIn, how to find your prospects, how to get people to engage, and how to onboard new clients. And with the poll, only you can see who took the poll. And so this gives you market research, how to position yourself. Hey, John's a CEO and he's looking how to position himself. So he's a prospective client that I can reach out to. You could do polls in groups as well.
Nice.
So this is, if you want to create content or document, right? We're going to document, not create content. Well, a poll would be actually creating something. This is the easiest way to get something out, and you just put some thought into it. The thing is if you put a poll in there, we talked about consistency before, you have to have your content going out on a regular basis. And the best way to affect your content so it starts getting some reach is have people, if you're going to post on LinkedIn daily, have people on your team. Hey, I'm going to post at 3 o'clock today. If you guys can engage on my content, as a team, you are a team looking to promote your money, hoping to promote who you are, provide value to the LinkedIn stratosphere. And so your team, you should be working together within your strategy. So if they engage on your content, the first 10 minutes is the key. The next hour is the next key. Then 2 hours after that, then the first 24 hours. After that, your LinkedIn algorithm dies. So the more people you have engaging on your content within the first 10 minutes, that's the first, then the first hour, then the first 2 hours, then the first 24 hours, the more people that are going to see your content.
Chaz, is there a best time of the day to post?
It's, with COVID, we're kind of like all over the place. 8:30 to 9:30, typically. And it depends where your customers are too, right? So clients, prospective clients, 11 to 1, and then sometimes around 3 to 4. Saturday mornings early, interestingly enough.
Great.
Saturday mornings early are a good time for my clients that go on LinkedIn with direct messages. Before 11 o'clock, they're able to get the heaviest percentage of people that are on LinkedIn and engaging with them.
Gotcha. And something more towards general sales philosophy, I guess. Do you have thoughts on having a specific niche, or are you limiting yourself by focusing on a specific industry? I don't know how to explain that one more thoroughly, but better to be a mile wide and an inch deep, or really deep. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Now that you said that, because I
Okay.
use that expression often, I'd rather go a mile deep and an inch wide and then expand from there.
Okay.
Okay. But now, just so we know, it depends upon what we're talking about. If you're talking about the demographics on like Sales Navigator, and Mike, I saw your question in there. Mike asked the different levels of LinkedIn. Sales Navigator is $79 a month. Okay. If you use it, it's going to pay back the $79 a month in dividends. If you don't use it, it isn't going to pay back in dividends. Okay. You have to invest in your business. If you don't have a presence on LinkedIn, your competitors are going to pass you by. And take me out of the equation. It's you can work with, there's a lot of different people out there. There's a lot of bad people out there, and there's some good people out there. You got to have a LinkedIn strategy to reach people. Okay. $79 a month for LinkedIn, and they give you a 30-day trial to try it out. Be very careful, because I have all my team members on there, and I have they favor pay the year in full. And so I got my credit card like $700 charges on my credit card one month. I'm like, what the heck is this? LinkedIn automatically puts you into pay a year in full if after that 30 days you don't do that. So make sure you're paying monthly if that's what you want to do. Okay. So there's like LinkedIn Professional. It's a waste. It's like $59. If you're going to do something, get Sales Navigator. Okay. You can go into Smart Links, which you can connect links to your content and actually follow people. I mean, that's hundreds of dollars. That's a whole different training which you can purchase into. But for right now, today, Sales Navigator, $79 a month. Okay. So to your question, was that Daniel that was saying that, by the way?
I was just repeating someone else's question,
Okay.
Chaz. But
so are you talking about like when I start people going into industries, I go wide here? Is that what
Okay.
you were asking?
I think that's what
Okay.
she was referring to.
Okay.
Yes.
I go if you know your industry backwards and forwards. I tell people a lot. I go, like, for instance, this conversation I have a lot with my clients. Well, I work with large corporations. I go, why not small businesses? Well, I come from a corporation. Well, will small businesses not buy your product or service? I don't know. Well, why don't you see? A lot of times we project into our target market based on our experience. And when we do that, we miss out on opportunities. I have many clients, actually. One in particular I'm thinking about, Kimberly. She was working with larger corporations. I said, go with smaller businesses. They need what you, and so now she likes the clients. Remember we talked about in the foundation, working with people that are a good fit for you and not the ones that are a pain. She's working with people who she likes to work with, and she's having better conversations, and she's bringing more clients in sooner. And the sales process is less complicated. So yes, go wide. As you go wide, as you're executing, you'll get clarity on what industries are good for you.
I think that answers it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry for the confusion there, guys. Anything else?
I do have like a twofold question, if that's okay. One is
Twofold's okay, but not threefold.
no, threefold's okay.
Go on.
Two ply, that's it. What is your take on like SMS communication, text messages, and using like WhatsApp as also a pseudo channel for communication, and those apps as a communication tool? And then the other question is, do you have or have you adopted a content marketing or content calendar posting for like a 2 weeks, 3 weeks in advance?
Yeah, those are good questions. That's my weakness. My Fridays are supposed to be content days. I actually have people on my team. I'm going to answer that question first. So there's like Buffer and different things where you can put content out there and they're posting it. And right now I'm doing it manually and I have people on my team doing it. I'm moving away because I want to be involved more with content, but not involved with the mechanics, right? I want to be focused on, and everyone here, you have strengths and weaknesses. I don't want to be working on my weaknesses. I'm going to focus on my strengths. That's where I'm going to get my business to the next level. And the details, the minutia of all that, I'm having my content team. I'm going to produce the content and they're going to proof it and get things out there. Okay. So my Fridays, to answer your question specifically, is to produce content for the next week. And to your WhatsApp, I use Voxer for voice message. You know, if you have iPhone, you can communicate through the message, but it disappears. So on Voxer, this is a cool thing. And if I'm communicating and answering your question, I have WhatsApp too. On Voxer, it's like a kind of a walkie-talkie that goes back and forth, VOXER. You could do the same on WhatsApp as well. The cool thing with Voxer is if I record a message, hey guys, this has been an amazing session. If you signed up for the 20-minute mini sales and marketing audit, I look forward to talking with you. You guys have an amazing day. Go rock this day. So let me show you something here. Hey guys, this has been an amazing session. Okay. Hold on a second. I wasn't thinking that I was on, I wasn't thinking all the way through. So what I'm going to do is I just recorded something. And what I'm going to do is, I got all these windows open, is I'm going to take that recording and I'm going to put it in the chat. And so not only can you communicate back and forth with people who have Voxer, you can also communicate in the comments with a voice message. How cool is that? Sometimes I'll have content where people are, hey, if you have questions, I'll respond with a voice message to you. So I just put that voice message in there. You don't have to listen to it right now. I mean, you just heard what I recorded. So is that what you were asking as far as Voxer and having the apps and communicating back and forth? Now, SMS, I don't have this set up like Gary Vaynerchuk. He has, you know, opt in for my number and he gives you, I get, I don't know, like 4 text messages a day. That is the next thing that is in back to your automation. If people opt into your text messages and you have those things going out to them on a regular basis, you can reach directly to, because this is where, if I lose this phone, I'm like, oh my gosh, life is over.
I'm trying to walk away from email as much as possible. I think it's the bane of my existence. I have a disdain for emails. They're the worst thing ever. So I'm actually trying to have the habit of using dictation because it actually works a little bit easier to create your emails. But the flip side is being more accessible via like a platform, a web app or whatnot seems to vehicle the content or the fluidity of the communication. It seems to go rather easily. The flip side is I did notice on your browser that you use HubSpot, and I believe that that's like a really good hybrid between like the email pseudo people that can't let go of emails and you trying to adopt a new habit building communication platform via like groups, social media, and then SMS, which is what it ties into, because you can buy into those like the Gary Vaynerchuk portion where you can communicate with them, which is fast and efficient, and everybody has a cell phone.
Yeah, no. I'm all on that. I haven't incorporated that into my business, so I can't speak to it. I know the people that know it and understand it use it very effectively.
Yeah.
It's the thing is you need, if someone's getting on LinkedIn and then you're hearing about SMS and automation, all these different things, it's just, you got to start somewhere with the foundation. And as you get something, and then you move on to the next step. One of the books that has been really spoke to me recently is The One Thing. Has anybody watched City Slickers, by the way? Remember that movie a long time ago? That's how they got the name for that book. Because that Curly, that old cowboy, Billy Crystal's character said, or this cowboy said, you know what the secret to life is? He goes, this. He goes, your finger? He goes, no, one thing. Billy Crystal's character said, what is it? He goes, that's for you to figure out. He used that for the book. And the book is this: you have to focus on one thing at a time. And this is my weakness. I have so many things I want to do. And if I focus on so many things, they're not going to get done or get done well when I'm talking about the organization and operations and all these things in my business. So as I'm working with, I have an operational coach. She helped me set up systems and processes. That was the thing I worked on during that period of time. So you need to work on something and you need to focus on that and get clarity on that and get good at it until moving on to next something else. And then you can expand from there. And sales and marketing, you got to have both of those working together congruently.
But
Let me ask a question of, go ahead.
It's interesting that you say you have to work at one thing at a time when the industry is so focused on multitaskers. Like they want you to be able to do it all, Octopus 12, and like do it all. But yet it's been scientifically proven that a human cannot multitask. You can only do micro pinpoint focused tasks at a time. And that's something that's just not going away. Like you want to do it all, like me too, but holy moly, is it like, it's still the multitasker. You got to be able to multitask well. It'll deplete in quality or in quantity that you can do in a certain day.
I'm with you. And when I focus on the one thing and get it done and move on to the next, I'm much more productive and I'm usually a lot more happy too.
Work smarter, less hard.
I have a lot more energy. If I'm going from boom to boom to boom to boom, that's why I don't like emails. My focus is on, I read my emails after at noon because I want to, people could wait till noon for you to get back to them. I used to be looking at emails all the time and it just sucked the time out of my day. So I looked at communicating in different ways too. And so we use Boxer and whatnot with my clients. The thing I like about Boxer is you have voice and tonality. And you talk about audio. Does anyone know Clubhouse? Are you familiar with Clubhouse? That's the new social media platform that's growing leaps and bounds. It's an all audio platform. No direct messages. It's all audio. And there's a, what's the word I'm looking for? My brain is fried. There's a closeness within the audio within these rooms as you're having these open discussions that you don't have on other platforms because it's all audio. You don't have pictures like on Instagram, all these perfect pictures and filters and whatnot. It's all your voice. And so I think audio, and if you look at Alexa, and we're going to be able to order our groceries and whatnot. So voice is going to be a big part of marketing in the not too distant future. Gary Vaynerchuk speaks to that too.
Kind of goes back to what you said about it's not what you say, but how you say it.
Yes, that's exactly right. I tell you what, I learned that late in life. It's powerful. That Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think I've listened to that book probably about 300 times. And every time I listen to it because you can hear his tone and how he's saying things as opposed to reading it and me projecting in based on my know-how. When you say you go with the sincerity and intention to serve people, it does change what you say.
That's why emails are horrible. You can't get the tone or the intonation.
Same with text.
Yeah. I was having a question with Tim going back and forth about the payment. And so he sent me Haley sent me a thing on payment. It was net 30 days. I didn't know and understand that. And so I could have responded to that because here we are in kind of a situation. It could be read the wrong way. And so it's always best to like either pick up the phone and call them. What I did is I sent a video message, and I use, you guys want to see a cool video product, SaaS product?
Sure.
While you're searching, just a quick question. You mentioned operational coach. Can you elaborate on that? That was interesting.
That was a operations coach.
Operations coach.
Yeah. So I use Vaetas, which is right here, VAETAS.com. This is a SaaS video product. I also use Dubb, which is DUBB.com. The power behind this, and this is how I schedule most of my meetings. Mike, I believe this is how I schedule my meeting with you. I will send them a video so they see my body language, they hear my tone. When the video ends, I can send it anywhere. Usually it will go to my calendar. And the cool thing is I can see how much of the video they viewed. Okay. And so when I was going, getting feedback on the payment details, I didn't ask the right questions, so I didn't know and understand. So I sent them a video and to Haley and Tim to let them know kind of where I was coming from so they can understand my body language, and let them know I'm still excited about this. I just didn't know and understand that it was like a net 30 deal. So I sent it to them. One of them watched 100% of it, and one of them watched 15% of it. So this is also good if you present your offer to a client, prospective client, and they need to think it over. You've gone through everything and they need to, do that. Real quick, if you present your offer to a client, before you end, just ask them this question. Scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that our offer, our solution, our service can solve your problem? 10, 100% confident, 1, 0% confident. If they're not an 8 or above, you have some problems. So after asking that question, I always do a recap of the meeting, and I send them a video from Vaetas. And there's only been one exception over the last 3 years. I sent a lot of these videos out that if they've watched 100% of the video after our conversation, when I recap the meeting, they always become my client.
And those tools, just so I can put them in the chat again, the video tools, Chaz.
Yeah, so DUBB.com.
Okay.
And then Vaetas is VAETAS.com.
VAETAS.com.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So those, you might need to put like a www in front of that, but you'll be able to find those.
It's on the World Wide Web, everyone.
It is. Well, I really appreciate our time. I hope you got value out of this. And for people who've scheduled the meetings, I look forward to, I see a couple came through. I look forward to talking with you. Go to Chaz Horn and follow me on LinkedIn and connect with me. And then if you go to put the hashtag Go Rock This Day and follow that, you can see my content. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm highly engaged. I've got 27,000 plus people I'm connected with there. And so I look to network, collaborate, and with you all as I see you there. Sound good?
That's good. Thanks, everybody.
Any last questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Awesome time. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate your help.
Thanks,
Mike,
Chaz.
good seeing you again.